All right, it's 6:31. So would everyone please stand to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Diana, would you please call roll?
Committee Member Fondrek,
Here.
Committee Member Wills,
Here.
Committee Member Middlestad,
Here.
Committee Member Huber,
Here.
Committee Member McMorris.
Here. So there are no absences, right? Okay, great. Are there any late changes to the agenda?
No late changes.
Okay, great. Let's move on to approving the minutes from the last meeting. Does anyone have any comments about the minutes from the last meeting? No? Can someone make a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Second?
Okay,
Second.
all right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, the minutes from the last meeting are approved. Next, we move on to the public comment section. There's one attendee online. Would you like to make a comment? Okay, then we'll move on to the first order of business.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I hope you guys have had a good month. And thank you for sending the updated sketches, which I have to remember which packet those were. It's this other one. Awesome. Thank you for pulling that up. So would you like to go through and kind of describe the sketches that you put together for us and what each of the panel members, the committee members' thoughts are on these?
Sure thing. Looks like this image got a little messed up. I don't know if that was on my end. It's possible. But anyway, so this was our first concept for this roundabout, was a cutout metal silhouette of a farmer and a horse with a plow. That would be, I think, curved to be against the inside of the knee wall. And in the middle of the roundabout would be, I think, large shrubs and some small trees. Can we go to the next slide? So on the committee, the city council expressed some interest on having another image on the back side of the roundabout. And so these are two options. One, I had a female farmer, she's leading an ox. It doesn't have to be that. I was just trying to think of something farmy to put up here. And another one is a farmhouse with a windmill is another idea. The silhouette of a farmhouse with a windmill. And the windmill could just be a silhouette, or the blades could be articulated if we wanted it to. So these are just some possible ideas for the back side of this roundabout. Can we go to the next slide? So this was a difficult thing for me to draw, so I hope it makes sense. The top image is with two figures, so like one on each side. The bottom image has three of them all in there around the sides. The farmers behind the trees here. Again, this was kind of a difficult thing to depict. So I'm not sure. I don't know exactly like the dimensions of the roundabout and like how those would compare to the scale of the figures, but it's possible they might need to get a little bit small in order to fit all three of them, if that's what the city council wanted. Okay, and so here's the concept that we talked about last week with the farm equipment displayed in the middle and some grasses and small shrubs arranged like rows of crops around it. And the dimensions of the farm equipment weren't provided, and so I was just this is just my complete guess here on how big it would look in comparison to the roundabout. I really don't know. It could be much smaller. Okay, next slide. And here is another concept that we talked about, which was combining the two concepts, having the metal silhouettes around the outside and the farm equipment in the middle. So, again, the dimensions are all my complete estimates. And I don't know how much space there would be for plants in between, if we had that, like a concrete pedestal in the center. I don't know how much space there would be between that pedestal and the knee wall.
Did the city council want it on pedestal?
I think they just said in the center.
They did indicate up on a pedestal of
Oh,
some
okay.
sort, yeah.
It definitely wouldn't be visible if it wasn't on a pedestal, that's for sure.
Just was curious.
Yeah. And then I think that's the last slide, right? Yeah, so those are the concepts that we talked about last month.
Beautifully wrought. Quite nice.
You gotta turn your mic on though.
I do. Sorry. Okay, beautifully wrought, and the concepts were nicely done. And I think you met all of the ideas so well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But now we need to discuss what to do with these.
Well, regarding the horse and the man, I like it because it's a big horse and that's a draft horse, and that's what a draft horse would look like. So, you know, if you've been next to a Clydesdale, you would see that the human was rather small. So I really appreciate that aspect. I don't know if you did it on purpose, but it's well done. I like that. I love the barn. I've loved the cutout of the barn all along. I just think that's great, and I love the juxtaposition now of the windmill to it. To me, my heart goes to that first, as far as a look, when you think of farming. You know, my mind says, you know, but I'm more diversity related, I should say. So my mind says keep the woman next to the guy, nothing personal, but I'd like to have that gal in there because women just, you know, sometimes don't get included, and I like that aspect of it. I'm glad you added her in. And again, the sizes are great too because cows are huge. So they're just beautifully done, but I don't know what to do. I think 4 is too many. 3 might be impossible. Or, anyway, if that's what you were thinking of doing, 3, right? 3.
Unless you count the windmills as a
Yeah,
second
the
thing.
windmills, well, yeah, I was, but I thought it might be too busy with 3, but then I see it's kind of rather whole with the 3. And like you said, if they were smaller, it just might work, you know? But I do think we need a tree, so the trees to incorporate it, to set it off. If we don't go with the equipment in the center, I don't know. I think to discuss the equipment, we'd have to look at those photographs and then make more of an educated guess on the dimensions of that vis-a-vis some of the suggestions that were made about incorporating the equipment into the center of this roundabout. That's all I have to say about it.
Dan?
Can you go to the picture with the equipment and the, oh, I see, was there one with the, oh, here we go, yeah. some observations about the metal. I don't know how many people drive by it. The dark is most visible offset against something light. So it shows really well juxtaposed against the sky, and so I would be concerned about something with a very light dimensional property, that it won't be visible. That a larger, thicker thing will define the space more. That's my only concern about the farmhouse, is because it's not very solid.
You're saying there's too much negative space, and it would
Well,
be
as you
the
see through it,
farmhouse?
you might see other metal or plants or things like that. So it wouldn't, the visibility aspect, it's we have kind of a complicated thing going on there. And I wonder too about the height of the pedestal and how that'll affect the visibility of the things in the roundabout. Like that seems like a pretty high pedestal, which maybe is good. I don't know. It depends what the angle. I find I always I really like the negative space and the cutout on the, and I drive down the street all the time, and I'm always like looking and also paying attention to where I'm driving. But
Oh, good. What car was that?
yeah.
That was a good point, though.
So the knee wall's a foot tall, right?
Right.
2 feet tall.
2 feet tall. So
Yes.
then if the cutouts, let's say the cutouts were 3 feet tall, like on this drawing here, if they were like a minimum of 3 feet tall for the cutouts, which is not very tall.
No, I
Yeah,
was
you're-
thinking that they would be more like life size, like the man
Life
would
size
be
cutouts?
life size.
So that pedestal would have to be 10 feet in the air.
Yeah, it would have to be big. It might be much taller than it appears in this drawing.
Yeah, I think proportionally, if that, let's say this man is a 6 foot tall man, and to have that pedestal above to where it is, from the ground level to the top of that, even if the pedestal is at 6 feet, that means the farm equipment is at 10 to 12 feet up in the air.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be very tall.
Yeah,
Right.
which is pretty tall.
Yeah. KT?
I just wanted to say, even the amount of materials to be used to create the pedestal seems like we're going backwards. I agree we shouldn't have all 4. I think it's too busy. I like the look of the cutouts with the trees in the center. And I read what the lawyer said about the farm implements, and I am not a big fan of using something that's already rusted. There isn't a way to preserve it in a way that it won't continue to degrade. And I mean, it could potentially be a safety issue, but aesthetically, it's just, it's not really pleasing to the eye, the way the recreations of the cutouts of either a farm implement, or I love the barn and the windmill. So, I mean, that's my input on that.
Yeah, I love this one on the bottom on the right here with the man and the woman and the barn cut out. And I think if the plants that are in the middle there are green, it's going to pop off the color of that metal to where I think you'd still be able to see it even without the negative space of the light sky. I think that if the green is the contrasting color behind that metal, it'll still pop quite a bit.
Yeah, that's the hope. Yeah.
Right.
If you're
We
saying
could use a tree perhaps that is a fruiting tree as well, to sort of fit the farm idea. There's a lot of apple orchards and that sort of stuff in Washington, so.
Yeah, as long as
An idea.
it doesn't actually make fruit,
Yeah.
because that would be messy for the
Well-
maintenance guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also provides habitat and forage for the birds and such, which is part of our criteria as well. So as long as it's not going to be rotting fruit out there and create a smell of some form, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Are there any concerns about that from the city perspective on maintenance?
Less messy is always preferred, you know, as far as having to go out and do maintenance and cleanup of things. As far as the birds eating things, it's not frowned upon. Obviously, we have the grapes in some of the roundabouts as well. Some years the birds get them, some years they don't, so. But our maintenance crews don't go out and clean up the grapes either, so. Take
Is-
that as you will.
When you say life size on this, what size were you thinking this barn would be?
That would have to be pretty tall. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't be life size, but could be, I don't know, a little taller than the people, so it could be maybe like 7 feet tall. I think
Diana,
it would have to be kind of measured as to like what makes sense for the whole scale of the things and the size of the roundabout.
Yeah, I think we'd almost have to have the people be like 5 feet tall.
Yeah, they might have to be, yeah. I think as long as they're not tiny
Yeah.
little things.
They get lost, yeah.
Yeah, and we also wouldn't want them to be larger than life size, because I think that would look strange,
Yeah.
but, so I'd say that between 5 to 6 feet.
Yeah, if you think about if the knee wall is 2 feet tall and we put a 5-foot person there, that's 7 feet up in the air. How big is the vegetation gonna have to be in the middle to be able to proportionally be in that? I mean, those are gonna have to be pretty big pretty decent size.
True, although the ground is
That's right.
domed.
Raised, yeah.
Yeah,
so
Diameter was 30 feet, right?
the diameter is 50 feet.
Oh, 50 feet. Oh, that's bigger.
Let me double check that as I said that, because I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. But Diana made actually a really good point as you were talking about the fruiting trees. Deer are a real thing, and they could be drawn into it, which could increase,
Safety issue.
safety issues.
there are some trees that are like attractive to birds, like cascara trees that aren't like, I don't think they drop fruit or are sought after by deer. But yeah, anyway, so maybe some like flowering trees could be pretty.
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry.
But I agree with KT. I also feel like the farming equipment is not visually appealing, and it is really rusted. In order to, and we were talking about, in order to make it safer, we might need to either take off that saw-looking thing, or disable, and definitely make sure it's stationary, and like maybe do something to the seat so people don't sit on it, and basically making a lot of modifications to this like historic artifact. And I kind of feel like it's not worth it. It's not. It doesn't look particularly attractive, and I don't think most people are going to recognize what it is.
Yeah,
I think it's also a safety hazard, because there's so many small pieces to it, to treat it, to make sure, we talked about that, I think you mentioned that last time. And we do need to treat it to make sure it doesn't rust. It's so many small pieces that things gonna deteriorate so quickly. That my concern is it's not worth the effort to treat it, to put it there. I don't think that, it's gonna be visually appealing. It's gonna disintegrate quickly. Thank you. I do think it's a hazard for small children or teenagers, especially the ones that have the large metal teeth. And my concern was any liability the city might incur should some small child or larger child decide that that would be fun to play on. Even if it's above the ground, I don't see it visually working at all. I think it'll get lost in the vegetation and have to be put up so high that it'll look awkward.
like a statue to a farm.
Yeah.
equipment,
Yeah, like a monument.
A monument to what? And then it's just kind of falling apart after a while. And I do think when we were originally talking about it, we were probably thinking it might be a tractor, a larger piece. At least in that was in my mind, is that if they were gonna put anything there, it would be something bigger. But the small stuff that I looked at, I thought there would be a lot of problems with it. I think it's extremely generous of Lee to donate this and want to incorporate it. I just don't know how we could do it.
Was there the city had asked, or the council asked to have something in the middle and around, right?
Yes, that is what they requested.
So what could we do to,
I think the rendering that you did shows pretty well how busy that would be if you did all, one in the middle and the ones on the outside, and just,
well, that was my hope. But now, what do we, like, we presented our concept A to the council, and they came back with this idea. And it sounds like the committee is generally not a big fan of that idea. So then, how do we go back to the council and be like, actually, what about doing what we originally suggested?
Yeah, and then potentially, it sounds like everybody is sort of on board with having multiple art pieces around it, which is one of the things that council had agreed on. So I had two thoughts with that. One, we can go to them and say, look, this is really what the committee would prefer, and get their take on it. And we can cite all of the reasons that you all have demonstrated tonight. And I think the sketches are a very good representation of the kind of what it would look like, right, as you were driving around a roundabout. And if you had multiple silhouettes on either side and then the piece in the middle, I think this is a good demonstration of what that would actually look like. Going back to the barn situation and the discussion you were having on that, you could always make that less of a cutout and just like cut out the window and the barn door or something like that and make it more solid, if that was a consideration too. If that is what the committee is sold on and that is your preferred alternative, we can take that back to them and say this is really what the committee is preferring. You guys have also mentioned that potentially a larger piece of equipment, farm equipment in the middle. We could ask to see if there was anything else available, if that was something you wanted me to do.
Could I comment on the farm equipment?
Yes, absolutely.
I think there's several different pieces of farm equipment there. I think one has some kind of a blade on it for cutting. Another looks like it's a pedal powered thing for sewing. So they're not the same.
Diana, could you pull up the images for me?
And I mean, an explanation of what they are might be interesting, but I find it really intriguing that somebody in this geography might have used a pedal-powered sewing device on these hills. I think it might be very thought-provoking, but whether that makes sense in a roundabout or a museum is a totally different kind of. But anyway, I just make the point they're not the same. They're not all bladed.
From an engineering perspective, oh, go ahead, KT, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say a potential compromise with the city council could be if they wanted to pick what their favorite farming implement was, the artwork could be, and instead of using their farming implement, the artwork design of like the plow behind the ox or what have you could be detailed to be more like the farming implement that they prefer.
Can you explain what you mean?
Yeah, I'm just not sure what their issue was with the artwork and wanting an actual farm implement out there, which is smaller than the artwork. So if it's based on a particular type of farming implement, like I really want to see this sewing device, the artwork, instead of it being a person pushing a plow behind an ox, could be, a prettier device like this, but it's still in the artwork design, a 2D metal design. I was trying to compromise with them so we're not going, thank you for your input, but no.
This picture that's here right now, I mean, if you think about proportionately the size of this, that seat is probably 2 feet, maybe a little over 2 feet across. So this is a pretty small piece of equipment. And if that's sitting on top of a pedestal that's up in the air, I mean, I think it's gonna look pretty dwarfed in the middle of all that stuff. It's gonna look like a speck on the top of that thing compared to the silhouettes and stuff as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
So-
it'd be awkward.
What if you didn't elevate it?
We just get lost in the
That'd be
cutouts
lost.
of all the
Can't see it.
farm, like the, because they wanted both stuff around the outside and something in the middle.
Too busy, yeah.
I think the only way to see the thing in the middle is to have it raised if it's something like this.
And again, if you look at all of the pieces of equipment, everything here, they have so many small pieces, they're gonna rust off. They're not gonna last. I mean, I don't know how old this is, but eventually it's going to deteriorate. I don't know if it's all rusted now. It kinda looks like it. So
I
I'd be
think-
really concerned about deterioration and this thing on a pedestal. I mean, it's a lovely concept, I get the idea, but I don't think it's practical given the size of this and what it would, as you said, have to be on. It would look awkward and dwarfed, and really not in keeping with the designs around, around the roundabout. The juxtaposition seems awkward to me. I like Katie's idea of perhaps incorporating a little bit of this design, and it maybe not pushing a plow or with a horse, but maybe sitting on that. Maybe something that's larger, he's sitting on a tractor or something, so it incorporates, I don't know if that's possible.
You mean to have one of the silhouettes be a farmer using this thing?
Yes, one of those would sit of the horse. Miss the horse, but you know.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would necessarily know what it is if they see it.
Yeah.
It might look like someone using a wheelchair.
That's true. Actually, that's true. Yeah, there's that.
I
It'd be
think
hard to
this-
design it.
This predates, is it Wells? This is over 100 years old. It's probably been sitting there for 100
Yeah.
years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
This would have been pulled by an ox as well. This would have been pulled by a large horse or an ox. So this, instead of just being the hand plow, which would have had wooden handles, this could be, a farmer riding it with reins instead. I mean, is it an idea?
Dan thinks this thing is
is it
entirely
not?
self-powered.
Is it not is the chain for dispensing seed? It's not for,
Oh, yeah.
no, it's hooked to the axle, isn't it? I
it
think
It
it's-
is. I don't see any pedals though.
Oh, maybe it was.
There's no
motorized.
pedals and there's no engine or motor of any kind. So it had to have been pulled. And it might have used a chain for that as well.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dan. I think it almost might be that the chain was dispensing the seed coming out of the,
Yeah.
Yeah, it may have
Oh, it's the
rotated
wheel
something in the
turn.
front.
Oh, yeah.
like, I think these buckets on either side are where the seed are
Okay,
held,
so
and
then
then
it
it's
is
turning it and pulling it.
It would be horse-drawn
Yeah.
then, probably.
And that, the way that this
Interesting.
brake system is at the top by the seat up there would make me think that it had a horse or something pulling it.
Oh, that makes sense.
So building a little bit on what Katie had suggested and what I'm hearing you all suggest, what if we, hang with me, what if we scrapped the idea of putting things on a curve around and presented the idea of potentially taking a horse in the silhouette or the oxen in a silhouette and have them pulling that piece of equipment in the center of the roundabout, and then potentially having the farmer walking along beside it or behind it, or we could have a silhouette of a farmer sitting on it welded to the piece of equipment. So it changes the dynamic just a little bit. It incorporates some of the silhouette. It incorporates the farm equipment itself. We could somehow incorporate the female farmer as well. Just another thought. I don't want to derail anything by any means, but just a different perspective.
I can see your concept, but I just think the two styles don't mesh well together. I would think it'd be more like a statue. If you were going to do something like that, it would have to be more of a life form statue
Okay.
that would stand next to that, because I don't see a cutout. Visually, it just bothers me. Let's just say.
Totally fair.
My only concern with that would be, I really love the idea of having something going around it, because I think the one that's the big one over here on Pioneer is nice, but I think when you're coming out of Costco on that side and you see the narrow side of the silhouette, it's lost. And I think the idea of having something that's on all three sides, especially because you have traffic coming from all four sides at this roundabout, for it to just be on one side or just be able to see the dimension of it from one side or the other versus from all four sides. With the stuff going around the outside, I think it visually, any direction you're coming from, you get that full view of it. Seems more appealing to me than just having something in the middle. But
I think that's a good idea. Like, I can see what you're saying. I don't think the silhouettes would necessarily jar with it. I think they could be, if they were clearly flat and stylized silhouettes on this old piece, it could work.
Really?
I do think so, but I also think it's a lot, and we would probably want to scale back like everything else, the plants, not have like a second silhouette thing or anything else, just so that there's just only this one concept for people to wrap their minds around. And I don't want to take away plants, but I do think that it could work. But it wouldn't be able to be curved though. So it would have to be flat and straight. But I don't think it's bad. But it would mean a lot less everything, I think, in order to let this one thing stand out and be understood.
I think, I'm not good with geometry, but 50-foot diameter means it's 25 foot across, right? Yeah, so that's not a lot of room. So to have something on the outside, even if it's flat metal, and something in the middle, and vegetation, it's gonna be very busy in the middle of that 50-foot diameter.
So diameter is all the way across, so 50 feet all the way across. 25 feet would be the radius, which is
Yeah.
from the center to the side.
Half of it.
Okay.
The 50 foot would
Gotcha.
be 25 would be half of it.
Thank you for the geometry lesson, KT. I'm gonna go back to freshman high school, learn it again.
So how would you stylize that? You said stylize. What do you mean when you were visualizing that? If a flat cutout you think would work with something like this one? For me, I would, of all of them, I like this one the best. So how would that work? What would you envision?
It might be tricky. Like, I'm not 100% sure it would work. But it would just be like the side profile of the farmer. And maybe he's got the reins holding ahead. Like, I don't know if that's how it works. We would have to find some photo references of somebody actually using this thing to make sure that it's historically accurate. And would it have a horse or ox in front? I don't know. So I'm not totally sure.
Oh, okay, just curious what you were really thinking. Thank you.
Could you draw it to where it was like, if it was shaped almost like a triangle, to where it was the same silhouette, where it was like facing this way, and then it was the side of it this way and side of it this way, to where it would look like it was a three-dimensional instead of, like 3 pieces of flat metal together instead of one flat piece? Where they welded that to where it looked like, so if you were coming from any direction, it would look more three-dimensional than flat?
I think that would be pretty visually confusing,
Okay.
Yeah.
if I understand what you're saying.
I think it's too small of a roundabout. Maybe on a larger roundabout, you would have more, if you were doing that. Yeah.
Is there cost of, obviously these are gonna be different cost models. Do we need to figure in or factor in what the city's gonna want to absorb cost-wise with some of these designs?
So obviously less is more from the perspective of we'll be able to do it sooner. Having multiple cutouts, adding in the knee wall, those will all be costs that will need to be incurred. The pedestal will have additional concrete costs and reinforcement associated with it as well. There would be fewer plants, which we have found out that plants are extremely expensive. Relatively, I shouldn't say extremely, relatively expensive. And having fewer plants would be a cost savings. But in looking at these options right here, having the concrete in the center with the knee wall, with multiple cutouts, you're getting up there in cost pretty significantly. The Discovery Drive roundabout, the artwork with the pedestals that were installed there were roughly $26,000. And that one already had the knee wall included. This one would need the knee wall constructed. So.
Well, for the sake of argument, what if you did one of the cutouts, put it on a piece of concrete, and then you could put this thing in front of it, like it's, and then there, again, the vegetation would be very low. So, put the two together somehow. I don't know. Maybe you could even put in two pieces of this equipment, one on one side, one on the other, and a cutout on top. I'm getting busy, I know, but
Well, we're just saying that keeping it simple
I know, I
is
was getting
best.
busy. But that would just be one cutout on some concrete, and then you could use two of those pieces on either side of a piece of concrete, or, I don't know, just trying to think what to do, so that the city council gets some of their issues addressed, but we get ours addressed too.
If you're, if you have a little bit of a rise to it, and you're planting low-lying stuff like grasses or things that don't grow too high, then I don't think you would need too substantial of a pedestal, because if you put it at the high point, and
Of course, I don't know how you would secure that on the ground if you put it on the ground and just had grasses growing around it and then a pedestal with a cutout.
and if it grows up around the sides of it a little bit, I don't know that that's a problem necessarily.
Are you saying to do that with the cutouts as well around the outside,
Oh,
or
I
just?
was
Oh, no,
talking
no,
about
no,
the
just
farm
like
equipment.
if you did the
Yeah.
pedestal like this and you have your little whatever here, you would have your little farmer here and your little box, or whatever you're doing, but then have this piece of equipment on the ground, like it is now.
Yeah, but they wanted stuff around the outside and something in the middle, right? So if we did stuff around if we did, that would just be something in the middle only then, right?
Right, only in the
Yeah.
middle, but that would kind of give a little bit of what they want, and a little bit of what we want, I don't know. It was just an idea.
I definitely think, my own personal opinion, I love the one that you did with the two different farmers with the barn, nothing in the middle. I think that is the most visually appealing to
Oh,
me.
yeah, I agree with that.
I know that doesn't give them the middle thing, but
I don't want to try and shove this equipment in just because they asked for it, and like if possible. And especially if it's on the ground, I think it might be even more of a safety hazard because people could easily access it.
True.
So like but I don't want to say, like as KT put it, just be like, thank you for your input, but no thank you. They did say that they wanted like multiple figures, and so we do have some new drawings, some new concepts with multiple figures, so we can say like, here we did listen to some of the feedback.
Yeah.
But we're just trying to keep things as simple as possible. No concrete plinth, no safety issues, and no having to treat this historic instrument to be completely exposed to the weather. I don't know, maybe we could put it that way.
Right.
What do you think?
I think that's concrete. Right.
Okay, that, as long as everybody's in agreement, I can totally take that back to council, and we can go from there. I have no issue at all doing that.
And can you present the different drawings that she's provided so they can have a better visual of what we're
Yes.
thinking of?
Yes, absolutely. I'll give them this packet.
Okay.
Can I update the PDF before you send it.
You absolutely may.
Thank you. I'll send it in tonight or tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. They won't see it this Thursday. Steve will provide it to them at his briefings. It's too late to get it on the agenda for this month, so you've got a little bit of time is what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
Okay. So you don't have to work
Can I just,
wee hours of the night.
Go ahead.
hi, this is KT. Can I just say one more thing about the cost of plants? They have gotten more expensive over the years. I do have some contacts that could offer a scope of work, an estimate, just so we could weigh out if it's any cheaper than what you guys have had to do in the past. Let me know if that's something anybody's interested in. Trying to find it a little cheaper.
Are you asking us?
So how that would typically work, KT, is that when we were, sorry, I'm getting a weird echo. When we were ready to go ahead and construct this, the contractor would go ahead and bid on it. What we'll do in the meantime is just kind of take the cost of the plants that we just did on Pioneer, assuming that we would be using grasses, trees, very similar to those. So I'll pull those up, and that's what we'll use to base the cost estimate on for the time being.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay. So is everybody in agreement that the preferred alternative is the 3 silhouettes with nothing in the middle? Is that what I got from everybody?
I do like the
Yes.
idea of your modifications though, with maybe just a little less of, the barn, perhaps.
Okay.
Might maybe
Less
just,
of the barn?
well, not less of the barn, but less open, maybe close in 1 or 2
Oh,
areas.
I see. Okay.
And they may not, it looks a little more barn-like, I guess, in that regard.
I could make that
See what
modification
you
to the
think it looks
drawing.
like, you know?
I would suggest either the 2 figures or the 3 figures, because the 2 figures would be less expensive, of course, if that's a concern.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Dan, I know you liked the farm equipment.
I like the farm equipment. It's all right, I can be outvoted.
Well, maybe they'll come back and insist on it.
Maybe.
Do you think if the city council does come back, should we take a look at the farm equipment and then just make a decision of what piece we prefer? Or would that be shooting ourselves in the foot, so to speak?
I actually think that's a good idea. If there was between those 2 implements, which would be the preferred,
Okay,
I would go ahead and have that discussion now so we could let them know
Yeah.
if that's the direction they really, really want.
okay.
I would say the sewing one without the blade would be probably more functionally easy to work with.
You mean the one we just saw?
Yeah.
Okay. I agree.
Yeah, the one without the blade.
Definitely no blades.
My engineering heart says, yay.
Okay, should we move on to the second order of business?
Yes, I am ready when you are.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so as I sent out in that email, the state of the city is coming up, and we are looking for all of the boards and committees, the 4 of them, to go ahead and represent at the state of the city at the initial, sorry, my email got buried that I had pulled up. So it is on March 17th, which is a Tuesday. It's also St. Patrick's Day, from 5:30 to 6 p.m. at the Ridgefield High School Commons. And basically, it's going to be an opportunity for committees and boards to connect with the community members, talk about the projects you've been working on, what you're doing to help the community, how you're involved. So it would be basically starting at 5:15 because there's a little bit of setup time just to get yourself positioned, and would go until 6 p.m. Joel, I know you had responded back that you would be interested in participating. Is anybody else interested?
Yeah, I could volunteer.
Okay. anyone, there's no limit. If everybody wants to join, you all can join. If only a few of you want to, that's fine too.
I'd be interested.
Okay,
If it- Do you think that's okay with everyone?
Of course.
Yeah.
okay.
Interesting to see what people ask and talk about.
It's short. I would enjoy participating as well, but,
Okay.
do people come to these events?
So we're changing the format this year. It's a little bit different than in years past. So it's going to start with this reception, and then after that, there's going to be some presentations with some videos that are being put together about some of the different work that's happened in the city. So it's, I've not been to one of these in my tenure here so far, my whole almost 6 months. So Diana, do you have any insight on it by chance?
I do know a good number show up.
I was there last year and there was a lot of people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there was probably 200 or 300 people.
Wow.
I'll bring water.
And it's only 30 minutes long?
No, that's just the reception part. So they haven't typically had that in the past.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
That's a new component to it this year.
And then they do the video presentation inside the high school, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And will we just be standing by the table kind of thing? Yeah.
And then we could go in and be
Participants?
participants.
Absolutely.
okay.
All
To
right.
say that I could
Happens there.
participate, but,
No, sorry.
can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't sure if anybody could hear me anymore. I would love to say that I could participate as well, but I will have my son, he has special needs. I doubt it would be something that would be easy on him, so I'm gonna have to bow out on that one.
No problem. All right, I will let Julie know that the four of you are interested, and as we get closer, I'm sure she'll provide more information for us.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's all I had on that topic.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any staff reports?
The only highlight I have at this point in time is Monday is a holiday, so city offices will be closed. That's this coming Monday, right? The 16th? Yeah.
President's Day, right?
I was telling Diana earlier that this whole week, it's only Monday and the whole thing's getting all blurred already. It's been a Monday. So anyhow, so yes, we will be closed on the 16th. Other than that, life is steady at the staff, so.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anything from the committee tonight?
Yeah, me. I was concerned about the city's possible liability if a piece of equipment's up there. I'm an old legal secretary for many years with PI, so I see things like that as a headache. So I asked for information from the city attorney to find out whether or not, and I was a little unclear as to the actual result of that statement. It appears there was some concern that certain things should be removed. And that, yeah, but no. So I still think that, that is something that needs to be thought about, no matter what the city decides to do about a piece of equipment. There's always going to be somebody. I mean, I know I worry about it. I just think, yeah, it's a chair. It's only 2 feet above the ground. I have 3 of my buddies. We're going to go sit on that, and then you fall off because we're acting like an idiot, and then you get sued. It's a litigious world, let's just say. So my concern was, is there any real concern about liability?
Okay,
And then my head goes there.
perfect.
That's all.
So the state of the city event, we'd have a table, that's what I heard?
Correct.
And what material were we gonna talk about what material we might want to share, or
So
pictures of anything, or city stickers, or I don't,
ooh, those T-shirts.
So there was some discussion about a marketing effort, which I think it hasn't happened yet, right, on the website. But there's newspaper articles that have gone out. I don't know if photocopies from the Columbian or some of the stories about the collaboration with the high school, or so that we had something for people to look at as they walk by, and then we also have put together a document on some of the, I don't know if we have a statement of purpose but there was a document that described some of the principles that we were trying to use. That's probably too much information. But I wondered what kind of stuff would be interesting and engaging other than just, and like, do we have a sign that says "This Table Roundabout Committee," so that people know why we're standing there? Like will each table be labeled with some kind of,
Like, this is who we are?
or we'll get name badges and put a logo on there?
So I know that there will be name tags. I can find out from Julie and Megan DeMoss to see really what the plan is. I don't know if they have it completely ironed out yet. I don't believe the expectation is for the committee to have to bring anything. So if there's anything provided, we will definitely provide it at the table, whether it's handouts, flyers, newspaper articles, whatever it may be, we will provide all of that. And really what you'll need to do is just show up.
So the newspaper articles, if there's nothing else, might be a great thing to have on the table.
With the photos of the
Because there's a
kids.
great story, and I think it resonates a lot, so.
You know, you all are still working on the website, right?
Yes, I sure am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year the, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, so I was thinking that has a nice compilation of information. And that's a nice little thing to have, you do a two-sided document from the Columbian, I think you said it was. I don't know if the
Yeah.
Reflector did anything, but
They did actually as well.
yeah. So those are nice. And then, a blurb about our focus, our principles, and I think those are important. I've always thought that it's educational. And if we are going to get a large turnout of people in the city and they're interested, and I think a lot of our citizens are, they're vested in things and what they see. It'd be nice for them to see what we are thinking of as a committee, where our head is at, what our concerns are, and our dedication and focus on this. We're here for a reason. And, anyway, I think that might be a nice thing to add.
Okay.
Anyway, that's
Perfect.
my thought on it.
No, I appreciate that. I've jotted down all of those thoughts and put them together. And I'll talk to Megan and Julie and see what the plan is. I think those are relatively easy to accomplish.
Thanks for saying that.
Okay. Other thoughts?
I was just gonna say, last year it was kind of like a trade show. I mean, it was like a table with there was stuff. It was like there was a police hat. The police department had one, and the land use said one roundabout, and you're standing there talking about whatever's going on with that. It was almost like a trade show. People walked through like a little area where the tables were set up, just to give you visually. That's kind of what it was.
So anything else? Or should we adjourn the meeting? All right. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.